target to tackle food waste. And closing in on the escaped capybara, so will she be caught in time to return to her local zoo for the Easter holidays?
This is the ITV Lunchtime News with Hossain.
Good afternoon. A British woman jailed along with her husband in Iran, accused of spying, has told ITV News that she has come to accept she may die behind bars as bombs continue to fall on the country. Lindsay Foreman and her partner Craig, who are from East Sussex, were travelling through Iran on a round-the-world motorcycle trip when they were arrested in January last year. They were sentenced to 10 years in jail on espionage charges, claims the couple have always denied. Lindsay spoke to our global security editor Rohit Kachru from the prison where she's being held.
14 months after she was detained with her husband, Lindsay Foreman is now watching a war unfold around her from inside Iran's most notorious prison.
First day, I could feel it, the impact of the bombs, the rockets, the missiles. We were all hiding under the beds, so we were in metal framed bunk beds, and we would get into the bottom bunk. But people were hyperventilating, screaming.
Morning, it's day 65. We're in Tehran today.
Lindsay and Craig Foreman were travelling the world by motorbike until they were arrested, accused of spying. Now held just meters apart, they're rarely allowed to meet. This week, they were granted a visit.
1 hour we get, once or twice a month. We haven't seen each other for 2 months. So we've got 1 hour, and it's the best hour that you can have.
Her family says the UK government has not done enough to help. After speaking to the British ambassador this week, she fears the options for negotiating her release are narrowing.
A lot of the senior officials in all areas of public security essentially have been assassinated. So I know they can't talk to a lot of these people because they are no longer here.
She says her role now is to support other prisoners.
Some people have lost hope. They don't believe they can shine, and we've got to show them they can. And we have a responsibility to each other.
Rohit, you've spoken to the couple several times. How has Lindsay's mood changed?
Well, this is our 5th conversation with the couple since their detention, and actually, not only is her mood evolving, but she accepts herself that her personality, her character is evolving. She has tried to develop routines much more since the start of the war 3 weeks ago. She told me that she has been baking shortbread for other prisoners with some of the supplies she was able to get from the prison shop just before it closed. And she said also that she's now developed a morning routine of running laps of the prison courtyard. It's a 55-metre circuit, but with all the laps totaled, she reckons she's doing more than a park run every day.
Goodness. In terms of the chances of them getting released and the conflict that has now evolved, how will that impact them?
Well, that was always their fear before the conflict began, that they might be used as pawns. Now, there is potentially opportunity or there is risk, depending on how these peace talks go, if they happen later this week. But the reality is that, they are hoping that something won't happen. They've just had a conversation with the British ambassador in the last few days. And as she says herself, she has to remain optimistic.
Okay, Rohit, thank you very much. Thank you. The Prime Minister says that the decision by a court in the United States to find the companies behind Facebook and YouTube liable in a landmark case pointed to a shift in the expectation on the government to act. The jury in Los Angeles found that Meta and YouTube intentionally built addictive social media platforms that harmed a 20-year-old woman's mental health. Here, ministers have been under increasing pressure to clamp down on social media platforms, with many campaigners urging the government to follow Australia and other countries to impose a ban on under-16s using them. This is what the Prime Minister had to say a little earlier.
We need to do more to protect children. That's why we're consulting about issues such as banning social media for under-16s. I'm very keen that we do more on addictive features within social media. We've already taken the powers so that when we get to the end of the consultation, we don't have to wait years to implement this.
For reaction, I'm joined by Ellen Room behind the campaign Jules's Law. She was one of a number of campaigners who were in the House of Lords last night when peers voted for a ban on under-16s using social media, and news broke of that court ruling in the US. Her son Jules died during the Easter holidays 4 years ago. He was 14. Since then, she has fought here and in America to get access to what he saw and shared on his phone in her search for answers over his sudden death, and for all parents to get such digital access. Ellen, thank you very much for coming in. Look, lots to talk about. Let's focus on what happened in the Lords last night and the ping pong on this issue of protecting children between the Lords and MPs. First of all, what is your reaction to what you've just heard Sir Keir Starmer say?
I mean, absolutely, we need to do more to protect children. We've been saying that for so long, and these algorithms that are fed to children, they are being fed material that's harmful. We need to change that. We've been campaigning that for ages. It's about time the government stepped up and did more to protect them.
And does it sound like he's reacting to what's happened in America and going to speed this up along now? Have you got confidence in that?
I don't know. There's been a lot of talk, and this consultation that they announced, which was 3 months, we've all been saying, this is not needed, which was what happened in the Lords last night with Lord Nash's amendment to say, actually, it's the second time the Lords have agreed that they should be, removing social media for under-16s. So it now does this ridiculous ping pong, goes back and forth. We need it to go back to the Commons, and we need Labour MPs to back raising the age to 16.
And you've been campaigning for years, for 4 years on this issue, and in that time, some of the children will now be adults, and that's a wasted opportunity, presumably, from your point of view and from anybody campaigning for this.
Jules died 4 years ago. I was with somebody the other week, Ruth Moss. Her daughter died 12 years ago. For 12 years, she's been campaigning that we need to do something. How much longer are we going to talk about this? And actually, we need to step up. We need to do more. We need to protect children that are still alive.
Something potentially really big happened in America yesterday. People are calling it a landmark case. People are calling it a game changer. Will it be? Are you positive that it will be, given we know that both the companies, Meta and Google, have rejected the verdict and they plan to appeal?
It's absolutely a landslide case. There will be so many more, thousands of people that are waiting in the wings to now file lawsuits. I'm filing against TikTok in Delaware, which is ongoing. We're waiting for a motion to dismiss hearing answer to see if we can proceed. But there will be more and more cases that come out. And with regards to my campaigning for Jules' Law, soon that will become law, that when a child dies, their data is automatically preserved. We are going to now start to be able to hold these companies accountable for what our children are seeing.
What's the timescale on your law, on Jules' law, actually becoming law? Because we've got so many laws that are nearly there and they don't quite get over that final hurdle.
We haven't got a date for the third reading yet, but I anticipate it's somewhere around the June time, so not far away. And then it will actually become law when a child dies, that their data is automatically preserved within 5 days of their death.
Which will help you and others get
Won't help me.
answers.
It's not retrospective, so I'm having to apply to the High Court to redo Jules's inquest.
Your fight continues. Just while I've got you here, what is your advice to parents? Because they are being bombarded right now, being told that they have to, in some cases, monitor their children's device use, whether that's on an online game or on a phone, 24 hours a day. That's just not possible.
It's not possible at all. So how can parents possibly be looking over the shoulder of a child the whole time to see what is fed to them? These algorithms are feeding children harmful content, and that needs to stop. As Keir Starmer just said, we're feeding children, or they're being fed this material without the child looking for it. That's not suitable. We need to change that. We need to change other designs, like Snapchat, for example, have live location. They've got predators seeing exactly where your child is if their live location is on. That's not right for children to be followed by these predators.
Ellen, what do you think Jules would think of the incredible campaign that you've done in the 4 years since you lost him?
He'd be going, go for it, Mum.
Well, you really, really are. Thank you very much for joining us. I do appreciate it. Thank you. The UK faces the biggest hit of all major economies from the war in Iran. Experts from the influential group, the OECD, say growth this year could drop to 0.7% from a previous forecast of 1.2%. They also predict inflation will be higher. Jasmine Cameron-Shaleshi is in Westminster. This is not the news that the government wanted to hear, Jasmine.
That's right, and these forecasts will certainly make for quite grim reading for ministers. Now, as you say, the OECD is predicting that the UK could have the second highest inflation rate in the G7 this year, averaging at around 4%. Now, the Chancellor, in response, has said that the government's put in place measures to protect the public finances, and there are reports this morning that the UK could reopen a CO2 plant in Teesside to counteract any possible energy shortages. But certainly today's findings are only going to increase the pressure on the government to clarify what, if any, support will be given to households if energy bills rise, and how much it will cost and who could be eligible.
The Prime Minister is in Finland today. He's given the go-ahead to allow British forces to board ships carrying Russian oil through UK waters. How will this work?
That's right. So, as you say, the Prime Minister is in Finland. He's meeting with leaders from the Nordic and Baltic regions to discuss how to maintain the pressure on Russia. Now, ahead of this meeting, the UK government confirmed that the British military will be able to board Russian shadow fleet vessels. These are typically vessels that tend to transport oil, and they have been sanctioned by the UK, but are still transiting through UK waters.
Today I'll be talking to allies about what more we can do. Of course there'll be discussions about defence spend, also defence capability, and today I'll be making clear to them that I'm giving permission for the UK to intercept shadow fleet, Russian shadow fleet ships. These are ships that are unlawfully breaching sanctions, usually with oil. We'll be working with others on that project.
Now, amidst the conflicts in the Middle East, Russia has seen a boost to its oil revenues, and the Prime Minister there was clearly keen to stress that the UK was still committed to supporting Ukraine and enforcing some of the economic sanctions against Russia. It was also keen to stress that the UK will meet its defence spending commitments, but certainly that task and the task of potentially supporting households here at home could be made more difficult in light of the OECD forecast today.
Jasmine Cameron-Shaleshi, thank you. Still ahead, how the former Duchess of York could be stripped of another honour. And what has this escaped capybara been up to? How locals are using AI to imagine. Before that, ITV News has learnt that around a quarter of councils in England will miss a target to offer households in England food waste collection by the end of this month. A lack of funding, vehicles and even the plastic caddies used to collect it is being blamed. Our correspondent Ben Chapman explains.
It's bin day in Hinckley, but this is a delivery rather than a collection. Like many areas in England, residents are being asked for the first time to separate their food waste, though for some it's just another new bin or two. Are you going to put that in your kitchen?
And keep all my food waste in there for a week. I mean, we get maggots and flies in the big bins. I'll give it a go. If not, then it'll just be another gimmick, another waste of money.
But others who've been putting their plate scrapings aside for a couple of weeks already seem more positive.
At the beginning we weren't very keen about it, worrying about food smells really, but to be honest it's been a lot better than we thought. We found a good place for it, and as long as we regularly change the bags then we've had no issue of smells.
Hinckley and Bosworth are getting these caddies delivered just in the nick of time, really. The government gave councils until the end of March to roll out weekly food waste collections in England, but many of those councils are going to miss the deadline.
Some have had trouble getting hold of new collection vehicles. Others have struggled to afford it, despite government grants totalling £340 million.
Money has been given by government, but in some cases it's not quite enough to fund it. There's also been a bit of a slow timescale sometimes to knowing what money is coming, which makes it really difficult to plan a very big service.
If you can bear to look, this is where the government wants more of our food waste to end up. It's called anaerobic digestion, where the methane produced from rotting food is harnessed in huge tanks and used to generate gas and electricity.
The anaerobic digestion facility is without doubt the most environmentally friendly way of managing food waste. There's enough energy in one banana skin to power your mobile phone twice. Or the contents of your caddy is enough energy in there on average to power your television for 2 hours.
The government says it's helping councils where it can to achieve weekly collections, part of a wider plan to recycle 2/3 of all our waste a decade from now. Ben Chapman, ITV News, Leicestershire.
Officials in Abu Dhabi say that 2 people have been killed by shrapnel from an intercepted Iranian missile. 3 others were reportedly injured when debris fell to the ground. Missiles and drones have also been fired towards Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain and Israel today. Israeli officials say 5 people were injured by Iranian strikes in central Israel. 2 men who were arrested in connection with an arson attack on ambulances run by the Jewish community in London have been released on bail. 4 Hatzola ambulances were set alight in Golders Green in the early hours of Monday in an incident being treated as an anti-Semitic hate crime. And the government-backed savings bank NS&I has just announced hundreds of millions of pounds worth of compensation to customers after reported failings at the bank. The pensions minister has also admitted NS&I did not fully respond to previous warning signs. Councillors in York are expected to decide later whether to strip the former Duchess of York, Sarah Ferguson, the freedom of the city. The honour was given to her when she visited York almost 4 decades ago with her then husband, the now former Prince Andrew. He had his freedom of the city removed 4 years ago over his relationship with the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Jonathan Brown is in York. Jonathan, how likely is this to happen then?
Well, there's every chance if you're going by the comments made by councillors here in recent months. Last year, the Labour leaders of the City of York Council said it would be deplorable if anyone with honorary titles linked to this city had any association with Jeffrey Epstein after 2008. That was the year that he was convicted of soliciting prostitution from a minor. He was released from prison in the US the following year, but in March 2011, Sarah Ferguson told the Evening Standard newspaper she'd have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein ever again. Then, a month later, emails published by The Sun showed that she described him as a steadfast, generous and supreme friend to her family. And since then, there have been further emails released as part of the Epstein files, which appear to show her saying that he was like a brother to her and that she would like to marry him. It is worth stressing, though, that she's never been found guilty of anything. Sarah Ferguson has not been seen publicly in months, and she no longer uses the title the Duchess of York. She was actually given the freedom of the City of York as a wedding present to her and Andrew Mountbatten Windsor when they married in 1987. But in 2022, he was stripped of that honour. That was after it emerged that he'd reached an out-of-court settlement on a civil sex assault case brought by Epstein survivor Virginia Giuffre. He's always denied any wrongdoing, but tonight we should find out whether Sarah Ferguson will lose the freedom of this city too.
Jonathan Brown, thank you. Finally, the hunt for Samba, a capybara that's been on the run for more than a week after escaping a zoo in Hampshire, may be nearing an end. It follows a series of sightings of the 9-month-old rodent close to where she broke free. Capybaras are the largest of the rodent family, native to South America. Lorna Shaddick has the latest on the search for Samba.
Oh, it's a hot deer. No, girl, I wait.
But this isn't a deer. It's one of the world's largest rodents.
Rayla!
Making a bid for freedom. This dog walker unwittingly made one of 3 confirmed sightings of Samba, a capybara who escaped from nearby Marwell Zoo on the 17th of March, just a day after she got there.
We are 24/7 with our response to this. We've got thermal drones that we're using quite extensively, and we're really grateful to all those that have volunteered to come and help with drones. We're deploying camera traps as well, so our teams are checking that footage every 24 hours.
So far, drone sightings have only been false alarms. Nothing's tempting Samba back from her hasty Hampshire holiday, and locals have been using AI to imagine what might have been keeping her so busy. Samba waltzed into Marwell with her sister Tango, and bosses say it's important the pair are reunited, as capybaras aren't designed for going solo.
We're also thinking about other methods that we can deploy, whether that be sending out a sound signal to see if we can lure her in, like with the noise of other capybaras, using her bedding from her sister to see if the scent will bring her closer in, and then we're also looking at deploying humane badger traps along the stretch of water where we think she might be.
So if you spot Samba sashaying around in the sticks, take a snap, but leave the rescue to the experts.
What the hell was that? All my days.
Lorna Shaddick, ITV News.
Just before we go, a reminder of our main story this lunchtime. A British woman sentenced to 10 years in jail by an Iranian court says she has come to accept she may die behind bars. Lindsay Foreman and her husband were arrested while travelling through Iran in January 2025 and were later accused of espionage, charges they deny. You can see more of that interview on our website. That's all from us for now. Lucrezia Millarini is here with the evening news at 6:30. The news where you are is next. From everyone on the Lunchtime team, have a lovely afternoon. Bye for now.